Hunter Johnson just became the #1 pickleball singles player in the world. And in this video, he's gonna break down exactly what he focused on to reach that level. Throughout the video, Hunter's gonna give us his best tips for different parts of the game. And I think you'll find what he says really eye-opening. So let's get right into it. The first thing I asked Hunter is how he has such effective drives. As the #1 singles player, he potentially has the best drives in the world.
So the main thing that makes my drive so effective, especially in singles, are two key factors. One is definitely power level, which most people don't really think about, and two is contact point. So when I'm thinking about power level, I'm thinking from the range of 50% maybe to 80%. I never really want to go past that. I don't want to go to 100% because your control goes way down. So when I'm in the court, I'm thinking more about a 70% power level because if I hit it too hard, it's going to fly out or my margin to the net is lower. If I'm back and I get a slower return, higher return, I can ramp it up to about 85%. So that's one thing. The other thing is definitely contact point. Coming from tennis, everything is taught to be out in front. But the thing is, you don't have any strings on your paddle, so you have to create those strings. So when the contact point is at your right hip, that's what I like to think about. You're able to cup the ball and finish to create those strings. It's all about the angle of the paddle. If I'm too far out in front, then the paddle is facing down and I'm reaching. That way the ball is going to go in the net or long, depending on how much power you give. I really want to focus on the right hip at contact, whether you're open, closed, or completely closed. It's all the same.
So to recap what Hunter was saying, when you're going for your drives, you don't need to be going for 100% crazy power. Depending on where you are, you can lower your power or raise your power, and that will give you a better margin and more consistency. The other thing he's saying is that you don't need to be contacting the ball so far out in front. He believes that you get more spin by contacting it farther back, which looks more like this. And I actually can kind of see, I'm getting like a little bit of side spin almost when I'm doing it like that. See a few more. So contacting it a little bit further back, and you definitely can kind of cup around the ball more and get a little side spin, which is good. More top spin too. If you want more spin, another great way to get more spin, of course, is to have a better paddle that has more dwell time. So our paddle, the Gen 4.5, is a foam paddle, and foam paddles give you more dwell time. So that means that the ball sinks into the paddle more, which kind of like grabs it. So you're not just getting spin from the grit of the paddle. This is maxed out carbon fiber, but when the ball hits this paddle, it sinks in because it has better dwell time, and that in combination with the grit really lets you grab it and sort of like sucks the ball into the paddle. So when you get topspin, it gets a lot more and you can dip the ball down more. So if you're trying to get more spin on any shot, your drives, your flicks, your serves, highly recommend going to our site, checking out the Gen 4.5, and use code FOAM at checkout for $20 off. Right now, we're also selling 2 of these for $250, which is a crazy deal. So if you want to get one for you and a friend, or you just want 2 for yourself, head there and check it out now. The next thing that I asked Hunter was how he got such fast reactions in hands battles at the kitchen. He had some pretty interesting tips. He was a former top 200 tennis player in doubles, so I knew he came into the sport with really fast reactions. But in pickleball, you're so close to each other that even then you still have to get a lot quicker and used to faster exchanges. This is what he had to say.
So when I'm at the kitchen in doubles, what's helped me get faster hands is about 3 key tips. So the first thing that I like to do is really focus on my athletic stance. I don't want to be tall with straight legs. You know, you're going to topple over. You're not really going to be able to reach and be athletic in certain high level, quick hands battles. So you want to get those legs just a little bit, maybe past shoulder width apart. Bend your legs a little bit. That way you can push, you can reach, you can back up really quick if you need to. So that's really key for me to get that athleticism in play here. Number 2 is definitely ready position with your paddle. I like to have a neutral grip with a continental grip on my paddle. I really like to focus on, for me, keeping my paddle a little bit favored to my backhand, because with that, I can kind of cover a lot of different spots if people speed up to me, as well as getting to that forehand pretty quickly. You're using bigger muscles. If you think about it, with your backhand, you only have your thumb behind the paddle for strength. So you kind of have to favor that just a little bit, in my opinion. For the forehand, you have your whole palm and all your forearm and bicep behind for power. Number 3 that I like to focus on is contact point. So when you have your athletic position, you're in a good ready position with your paddle, you want to focus on not hitting the volley out in front too much. Coming from tennis as a professional player, you're always taught to meet the ball because it's coming at such a fast speed. In pickleball, you're at such a close distance with each other, is you really want to have your bigger muscles in play here, paddle in front of you, a little bit to the backhand, and you want to make contact closer to your body. You get faster, stronger punch with bigger muscles to use to be able to counter hard and win more points.
So what Hunter's saying is that when you're at the kitchen, you always want to have an athletic stance and you want to be waiting in a good ready position that's sort of leaning towards your backhand. He prefers the continental grip, which most players do. And you want to have your elbows in a good spot so that you have room to counterattack. And when they're closer to your body a little bit, you also have more mobility. So I've heard a lot of players say they like to have their elbows closer to their body. Some players prefer to have them farther away, but I think having it about like ball's distance from your body like this is ideal. Made a video about that last week. Hunter does this, and because of this, he has great reflexes. It is sort of personal preference in terms of how far you have it from your body, but a lot of the pros look something like this when they're waiting. Bonus tip too, I also say that you should be leaning forward a little bit. So the combination of these things gives you super fast hands, and it'll make you win more hands battles and react faster at the kitchen. And guys, if you want to give Hunter thanks for giving us all these great tips in this video, head to his Instagram now and give him a follow. He's going to be posting a lot of cool stuff there about his pro journey, some tips from time to time. If you want to thank him for all the help he's giving us in this video, head to Instagram now and give him a follow. All right, so the next thing I asked Hunter was how he decides whether or not to drop on the third shot or to drive on the third shot. And he had some pretty interesting things to say.
So when I'm trying to decide whether to drop or drive, there's a few key aspects that I think about. One is the ball speed, and two is how deep in the court it is or how short it is in the court if it's below my knees. So if the ball's coming back super fast, what I like to actually do is hit back a drive as a defensive play. The other time you hit a drive is when there's a slow, high ball in the court, you're in a good position, and you can really release that follow through and drive the ball hard. When I want to drop is when I'm maybe scrapping off the court, when I'm reaching slow into the court. There's a lot of different options, but you have to be able to choose in a quick manner to be able to make the right shot choice. So getting better at that in practice is very key.
So I think the real interesting thing that Hunter's saying here is that sometimes he actually goes for drives when he's on defense because when his opponent hits the return at him really hard, it's actually more consistent for him to go for a drive than a drop. I'm sure you've gone for a drop when your opponent hits a hard return and you just pop it up or you miss it in the net because sometimes it's just hard to control your drop. So if your opponent hits the ball at you really hard, you can go for a drive sort of as defense sometimes. And then also, obviously, on the easy ones, you should still be going for your drives. In terms of when he drops, it seems like sometimes when he's more stretched or out of position, and then on neutral balls. Didn't mention that, but I assume that on most neutral thirds, he probably goes for a drop. The next thing I asked Hunter is what he focuses on when he's serving.
So what I like to focus on when I'm serving, whether it's singles or doubles, is a couple key factors. So for me, I really like to always get my weight transferring forward to get that power as well as contact. So those are the two things that I focus on technical wise. But spot placement for me is huge, and the power level and height above the net is what I really like to focus on. So I like to either try to hit deep, especially in singles. I like to mix up my spins, whether that's higher spin, harder spin through the court, or even a side spin cutter. In singles, it matters a lot more because you have to have a little bit more high risk to get that reward for a short return. Doubles, I don't necessarily think so much about that. I just like to hit hard in the middle, make them try to hit a shorter return, and then that way I can either drive or crash or drop to try to get into the kitchen line.
So a lot to unpack there, but I think the main takeaway is that Hunter is always focusing on depth. So in doubles, he's mixing his serve up with different spins, different levels of power and height, but the main thing he's focusing on is depth. And in singles, he goes for a little bit more. In doubles, though, he generally goes more down the middle on his serve and just tries to get his opponent to hit a short return. So the best thing you can do against a really good player is get them to hit a short return in doubles. You really aren't going to get that many full-fledged misses on the return from high-level players. So Hunter's just focusing on depth, and he's focusing on trying to mix things up so that his opponents are thrown off a little bit and will throw him easier returns so he can hit better thirds. The last thing I asked Hunter is what his favorite drill to do is.
The drill that I like to focus on the most, especially before tournaments, is what I like to call drop and drive. So it's basically what you want to do is drive the ball to someone at the net. They're going to hit the volley back hard, soft, doesn't matter. And then I'm going to drop the ball. Then they're going to hit it back, and then I'm going to drive it. Then they're going to hit it back again, and I'm going to drop. And I'm just going to keep doing that sequence every time. What I'm looking for is consistency. I want to differentiate my power levels on my drives, and I really want to make sure that whatever part of the court I'm in, I want to make the right shot selection and the right marginal space above the net for that shot.
So this drill is pretty simple. All it is I'm hitting a drive, and then I'm gonna be hitting a drop on the next shot. The main thing Hunter said he wants us to be focusing on is consistency. So it's pretty easy to lose your consistency. See, I just missed that drive when you're doing this drill because you're switching back and forth between two different shots. It's a great drill for the net person too, because they have to focus on returning these shots. So if you've never tried this, it's a great option because sometimes you don't want to just be doing the same shot over and over again in a drill. It's good to switch back and forth so you can test your technique in a real point situation where you're going to be switching between shots. Guys, if you want to see more tips from Hunter in future videos, make sure to comment them below and I'll show them to him. If not, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to give Hunter a thanks, make sure to go follow his Instagram as I mentioned. See you next time.